No, but I'll fire some of them because some of them were corrupt. I have no doubt about that. We had some corrupt agents, and those people are gone, or they will be gone, and it'll be done quickly and very surgically.
That was President Trump when asked whether he would fire FBI agents who worked on January 6 cases, providing absolutely no evidence of said corruption. This comes as tensions remain high at the Bureau while Trump and his allies continue their revenge and bullying tour. After days of resisting, the FBI was forced to hand the Justice Department the names of agents who worked on the January 6 case. Now, in a rare win for privacy, these names will not be made public, at least for now. This after a group of FBI agents who sued the Justice Department won an illegal agreement prohibiting anyone in the government from releasing those names. And while these agents might be safe from public scrutiny for the time being, the same cannot be said about some CIA officials. After the agency sent an unclassified email with names of employees hired over the last 2 years to the Trump administration. Joining me now is former CIA officer Andrew Bakaj. He's also the chief legal counsel to Whistleblower Aid and served as the attorney for the whistleblower in Trump's first impeachment trial. Andrew, it's good to have you back on the show. You know, last weekend you and I talked about the courage of people like Brian Driscoll, the acting director of the FBI, in his attempt to kind of hold the line against the Trump administration. What do you make of where things stand this week, of him being forced to hand over these names? He tried, just to submit a list of employees' identification numbers in order to protect their privacy, but that obviously was not enough for those that sought it.
Look, I think there's a lot to unpack here. A lot of things are moving relatively quickly. I think it's unfortunate that that's what's happened. I know that Agent Driscoll, Acting Director Driscoll, has done everything that he could and everything that he can to protect the rank and file FBI agents at the Bureau. But the fact that this happened is really, really unfortunate.
What more can be done to protect these agents' safety now? I mean, all these January 6 rioters have been pardoned. We know how the right-wing media operates in this country when they sometimes dox these people. We know what the consequences of that, in civil society workers that we've seen in the past, the poll workers, for example. Under the agreement, their names are protected, but only up until late March.
That's why my colleagues and I, we had this case filed here in district court in D.C. to try and protect and ensure that the identities of the FBI agents don't become public. The threats are real, right? It's not just the individuals, folks who are supportive of the president and January 6th, who are going to try and potentially harm these agents and analysts, by the way. It also involves agents who are working on other unrelated cases. FBI agents work on criminal investigations all around the world, counterintelligence investigations. They testify in court against folks who are found guilty for committing heinous crimes. They're in absolute danger, and that is why we need to protect their identities.
Speaking of foreign influence, let's talk about Kash Patel for a moment. He's obviously waiting his Senate confirmation as the director of the FBI. He's actually coming under renewed scrutiny for some of his foreign business dealings, namely holding more than $1 million in stock in a fashion company founded in China that even a pro-Trump nonprofit has accused of slave labor. Talk us through the conflicts of interest here and why that is dangerous for somebody who would hold a position as the FBI director.
I mean, the fact that he has these conflicts of interest calls into question his ability to be completely disinterested in which way investigations are being conducted in the federal government. But let's step back for a moment and think about what's been happening across the government throughout this entire week, right? You mentioned that, we've been just discussing the fact that CIA officers had their names pumped up to leadership or to the White House in an unclassified manner, right? That creates an entire problem for the ability for our partners abroad, the United Kingdom, Canada, et cetera, to trust us with sensitive information. I just want to let everybody think about this. One of the things that led to 9/11 was the fact that there was a gap in information sharing between the FBI and the CIA and others. It was an intelligence failure. And what we're seeing here is our inability to protect our own information, which can restrict our partners overseas in sharing critical information that can prevent horrible things from happening here on American soil. So the fact of the matter is that the way that things are being handled within the community by DOJ and others is completely creating an absolute risk for every American here in the homeland.
Let me get your thoughts on, excuse me, let me get your thoughts on some of the more, what I would say, like, they're superficial things that President Trump is doing, although they're symbolically important, and that is revoking the national security clearance of a former president like Joe Biden, or denying him the ability to access intelligence briefings. Biden, of course, did that back in 2021 against Trump. But tonight we have the New York Post reporting that Trump is also stripping the security clearances of Letitia James and Alvin Bragg. And that actually has real life consequences on people still in positions of law enforcement in this country, in their role in keeping the public safe.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, in that article, one of my colleagues who was co-counsel to me on the Ukraine matter has apparently had his security clearance stripped as well. I've yet to hear about mine. But the fact of the matter is, it's a chilling effect. It's a tool to target individuals and intimidate people from doing their jobs. That's what we're here to do, is to use the judicial system, the process, to make sure that people are held accountable. One of the things I also want to talk about today that I don't think has been reported, and it's really important to grasp the significance of what's happening. So we know that, for example, DOJ has been in the Department of Treasury, sucking up information, and for what reason, right? I have talked to individuals within the intelligence community and have heard that DOJ is also within the IC. What are they doing there? What are they rummaging through? And again, it goes back to my larger point about how this has a direct effect on our national security. And for a lot of people, that may be more of a theoretical or an ethereal thing. But the truth of the matter is that how, it goes back to what I was saying before, how we our credibility is at stake, and our partners' trust in us is at stake. Intelligence sharing is fundamentally based on trust, right? And if our partners can't trust us and they don't share critical intelligence and information that we need, it is a direct impact on every American citizen.
Our partners won't trust us. Our enemies and adversaries will look at us and say we are in chaos, an opportune time to exploit all that is happening. Andrew Bakaj, thank you so much. It's great to see you and have your insights as always.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.